So let's look at the topic for today, which is building smarter and scaling faster. I I intentionally didn't make any notes on this topic because I wanted it to be from the heart. I wanted it to be a conversation. But just before I left the house to head out for this event, I had to, of course, take a few points down. Yeah, so but I'm going to mostly be speaking from the heart. So as an entrepreneur and as a business, the truth is that you always have to be building. You know, that construction site mentality must be part and parcel of your lifestyle as an entrepreneur. Because the day you jettison that construction site mentality or mindset, that is the day that the venture begins to die. So as entrepreneurs, as a business or businesses, you must be in constant mode of building. Either you're building afresh or you're renovating. And so to build smarter means that there are certain principles that you must work with in your journey of building businesses or your journey as an entrepreneur. And so for me, the first one is you must have the architectural design of what you are either building or what you intend to build. The architectural design will show indeed what you want to build, how you want to build it, the size of what you want to build, and the purpose. Because it's defining that in that architectural design that will tell you the materials you need to bring to site. And of course, the kind of foundation that you need to have for it. Obviously, if you are building a skyscraper, the foundation will be very much different from if you are building a one-story building, and so on and so forth. And I'm glad that most of us here are people who are already into business. Some of you have been running businesses for a couple of years, so you're not just dabbling into the field to test the waters. Some of you have already received your baptism of fire here and there, But like I said, we are in constant mode of building. We are constantly at site, construction site. So the architectural design, you have to draw it up and you have to work with it religiously. Some would say business plan, but business plan is just one of such documents that constitutes the architectural design. But from the onset, the architectural design gives you a clear vision. And an entrepreneur without vision, without mental picture that is as sharp as a sword, is a confused entrepreneur. Most times before you can only go as big as you can imagine. If you're unable to see it from the onset, then you will dabble wherever the breeze or the wind blows you to as an entrepreneur, whether you're just starting or you're already in it. So, having done that, the next element in the process of building, and probably the most important, is your team. And as expected, when most of us were sharing our challenges, most of the challenges we shared come under this issue of team. Your business is only as strong as the people that run it with you. So sometimes when you're starting, it's just you are the team. Which means if you're the team, then it means you first have to build yourself. You have to build. Today is just you, but you have to build as though you're already seeing an array of heads in your boardroom. So that when it happens, when they begin to come on board, you are not confused. They are just basically aligning with the culture that you have already set up. So, but for those who are lucky enough to have weathered the storm of entrepreneurship and are doing reasonably well, and you have a number of people on your team and all of that, ensuring that team is just as good as you or better is the key to building a real great business. I'm not saying that they are good. I'm saying as good as you, or even better. The job of an entrepreneur is not to be experts or the biggest expert at the business or at the venture. His business is to galvanize a team of experts, to guide them, to lead them, right? But to be a leader, you must first lead yourself. And then from the onset, like I said, if you have properly defined the architecture of your business, the design of it, and then started by first building yourself as the team, when you eventually have other people on board, it becomes easy for you to lead them in a manner that toes the line to the destination that your business is heading. So, I often tell my team that I need them to be the alternative CEOs. And so, I therefore often do not micromanage. It's like double-edged, though. You have to be both a micromanager at some point, but also you have to trust enough to let go. And to be able to reach that level where you expect them to be the alternative CEOs, and you're actually seeing it being manifested, you cannot afford to be vague or to be pretentious, or to say I have business secrets that I need to protect. Business secrets great. I mean, as lawyers, we know that you need to be protected, legal documents-wise and all of that. But if you intend to build a business that outlasts you, then you must not be the only person that understands the process. If you intend to build a business that you can be away for weeks, for months even, and the business is doing just as great as when you were physically there, then your system cannot be shrouded in secrecy. So your team must feel like they belong. They must understand, they must feel like they know this thing. They know this business. So wherever they are, they can speak about that business just as good as you can. You saw the way Mr. Dominic was talking. I literally do not have to say a word about the Entrepreneur Africa or some of our other businesses if Mr. Domingo is there. Because he's been with me, he's been with our organization for 7-8 years now. But from the onset, from when we were still quite small, very few people on the team, they were just fresh out of school and all of that, and he joined the team. I made sure that I do not just assign, but I make him understand what I'm assigning, why I'm assigning it, and why it has to be done a certain way it has to be done. But beyond that, I make sure that apart from being his boss or being their boss, I'm also their friend. So you need to be able to wield that carrot and stick element in leading your staff. So my brother talked about, I think it was you, Mr. Osas, that talked about why when he thinks about the challenges he's facing with his staff, but then he remembers how much they are being paid and the challenges in the country, sometimes he just cuts them a slack. He lets go some of the pains of staff not performing at their best. Because, but truth also is that there's literally, as a business, even Dangote Group and some of the biggest companies, there's no amount they can ever pay that will be enough for staff, right? So the true team idea is not denominated on figures, on how much you pay, but honest pay first. That's why I said openness, them understanding what is happening in the business. Because sometimes too, as entrepreneurs, we like to have that air of, mysticism. They need to see us as superpowers. We don't have to, may they not see us finish. Let me put it that way. And so, when you operate that way, then the team that you're working with is a team that see themselves as outsiders. They can't see so much of what is inside. So they need to feel inside enough. So now, going back to what I was saying about the challenge that my brother raised here, you might be paying your staff an amount that is probably minimum wage, slightly above minimum wage, depending on the capacity of your business. And you see them come to work and they work as if you are paying them millions. And sometimes, I'm saying so because I've experienced it and I continue to experience it. And sometimes you're wondering, what did you do for these people? What did you give to them? Most times it's because they see themselves as sharing in the vision. They're also carriers of that vision. But not just that, but they see that this business is this level today, or I'm earning this so and so today because the business can only afford so and so. But if I can put in more, then the business can be more, and also I can earn more. But that comes with both communication, but it also comes with expression. In other words, it's not just by words, but in action. Why I say communication is, it might be so good, you might be kind to them, but if you don't communicate it, let them understand. So communication and action. The action part comes in whereby, again, this my brother mentioned that aspect, and I was very happy when he mentioned that. They have to be able to get more than salary. Sometimes 2,000 naira for lunch might mean so much for some of your staff. And making it random, you come into the office, for those who have physical offices to go to, and maybe around 12 or 1 p.m., and then you ask them, what's up, have you guys eaten lunch today? And some of them, most of them, of course, will be like, no. I'm like, okay, 2K for everybody. The excitement. Now 2K, which probably mean little or nothing to you, but to them, that act of kindness. A staff doesn't come to work because they call in sick or something, and they're in the hospital, and they tell you about it. What do you do in that situation? Put a call. But don't just put a call. Ask about the bill. The bill might be 50K. You might have the entire 50K to pay. Wonderful. God bless you in that situation. But you may not have the entire 50K, but you have 10K to put in. That 10K has gone a long way, but beyond the actual need is able to solve is the message that he has sent. So all of this come in the process of building. So when you relate with your team, with your staff this way, what it means is that the business is not just growing, but you're growing with the staff. And so when you have such staff that you grow with in that manner over time, you get to a point where you feel so comfortable that you can go anywhere and be sure that your business or businesses are in good hands. But let's not make mistakes to think that that is perfect. There is no perfection anywhere. No matter how good you treat staff, and there must always be the bad eggs who are never satisfied no matter what you do for them. So some of them may still end up sabotaging you one way or the other. In our Lagos office, there is this, one of our subsidiaries, the food and beverage company. There was one particular staff member called, well, let me not mention her name, for, a young lady, a single mom, and she was very hardworking, and I liked her for that. And so I was always there for her and every other person, of course, but particularly her because she is a single mom. So sometimes I'll ask her about the kid and the school fees, textbook, and so I will support with that, and some other areas. And to be honest, I was probably her favorite boss ever. So she was always very, anytime around, she would rally everybody. She would be so happy and all of that. So there's no how in this world I could have imagined that she would ever, that any day I was looking for who is sabotaging the company or stealing from the company, that she would be, I could have never imagined. Imagine my shock when one day, it was Mr. Domingo here, and messaged me, screenshot from the Instagram page of that particular business. An anonymous whistleblower sent us message exposing a fraud, an actual major stealing that had been going on. Because the business I'm talking about is a product-based business, so we have a number of products, similar to what my sister here. You guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm very bad at remembering people's names. So it's going to take me a while, to learn all the names. And trust me, I'm going to make it priority because I really need to know everybody by name. But yes, it's Omolola, right? Good. Can we clap for me? I remember this one. So, similar to your business, we produce a number of products and then we'll partner with supermarkets, B2B, with supermarkets across major, 4 major cities. And so this whistleblower came to the Instagram DM and exposed this fraud that had been going on for over a year. And I was like, okay, I was looking for, I just kept scrolling to see who is the culprit. Imagine my shock when I saw that name. I was like, no. I said, this cannot be true. And so he volunteered he was in Lagos at the time, so he volunteered to go on investigation personally. So he visited the location where the products stolen are being. In fact, she even had partners in crime. She would steal the products and then she would partner with them to sell them and all that. So he visited there and eventually found out that it was absolute truth. Anyway, we had to take action, of course, and eventually got her dismissed after some police case and all that. But why I had to tell that story is it can never be, you can't get it 100% honest stuff anywhere. But the truth is that 60% good is good enough. 70% is excellent. And so, notwithstanding what that staff member did, it didn't make me change or become too harsh on the rest of them. But I still sat everyone else down to let them understand why it's absolutely wrong to do this. And not just that, I reminded them all the good the company had been doing to them and for them, and they all confessed to that. And they all apologized on behalf of the staff that did this. And at the end of the day, I still gave them lunch. The idea is that, they understood that notwithstanding what has just happened, our boss was still kind enough, magnanimous enough. Because ordinarily, I should have gotten quite a number of them arrested alongside the young lady, because for her to have been stealing to that extent, there must be partners. But I didn't see any clear evidence that they were partners. So anyway, in building, I'm emphasizing a lot more on this particular point because this is one of the most, your business absolutely depends on that. How about trainings? Some of us believe that you have to be a UBA or some other blue chips to make budgets for things like staff training. No, you don't have to. The thing is that there's, for every phenomenon, there's always a version of it that is within your capacity. And so when it comes to staff training and stuff like that, as a small business, there's always a version that you can afford. And like I said, a lot of times it's the gesture that matters. There are trainings that go for hundreds of thousands, right? Which obviously most small businesses can't afford for a number of staff. But there are other ones that cost very little. So the gesture matters. But you're not just doing that for the benefit of the staff, but also for the benefit of your business. Because like I said from the onset, you have to build with a conglomerate mindset. Because if you intend to have staff that are able to run your business with or without you, they have to also have the capacity. And so continuous development of staff is absolutely key. And like I said, do not think that you have to first get to big man level or big business level before you start it. Why not start now with the version that you can handle? Okay, so the next element in building is to avoid the temptation to be a jack of all trades. You see that jack of all trades syndrome is what's killing a lot of small businesses. It's often said that most startups in Africa don't outlast the first 1 year. 98% of them, of startups, don't outlast the first 1 year. And probably over 90% don't outlast the first 3 years. And most people will say it's because of funding. But trust me, if you put in all the funding in the hands of someone who is not focused, who doesn't understand the principle of staying the course, who doesn't understand proper management, they will still burn it, waste, and the business will still collapse within the first 3 years or so. So, avoiding the jack of all trades syndrome is absolutely key. Now, when you are in business, as you go on, you have to decide for yourself and for your business where to build, how to build. And so, if you have chosen a course, stay on it until that business or venture can support itself. We live in an era where every new trend, once we hear that this business, that's the one that is selling now, this industry, that's where everybody wants to jump on it. Of recent, I'm hardly on social media, but the last time I noticed there was this trend of going to China. Everybody was. If you're not careful, the small money way they manage run your business, you can gather it. You want to travel to China so you can do your service and show them this is the factory where you better send your money, pre-order. My dear, it's not for everybody. Graces are different. We all have different graces. And so once you have discovered the one that is yours, stay on it. It may not be working out so well now. It may not be working out to the extent you want it, but staying power, consistency, it would eventually work. You also have to distinguish between knowing when to quit and knowing when you just need to stay a little longer. And I discovered recently that the Apple company, that over 50 to 52% of the entire annual revenue comes from just the iPhone. Sorry, ma'am, my sister.
Okay.
Just one product. Apple makes hundreds of billions of dollars per year, and just one product makes them over 52% of that. So what it means is that you do not have to be. People would always say you should not put all your eggs in one basket, but it's not always true. In law, we say to every general rule there's an exception. Right? Like I said, what you need to do is, the Bible says, man, is it the Bible that says that? Let me be sure. That says, man, know thyself. Is it in the Bible? It's not, right? Because we tend to quote a lot of, just like when we say, God helps those that help themselves. Anyway, whether it's in the Bible or it's in another holy book, man, know thyself. Very important. So as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you must understand the pattern of what has worked for you, even in a small scale. There are some businesses put in 200K, and within the first 3 months, you're already profitable. Even if the profit is a profit of 50K in a month, the point is that it's profitable. And that's a pattern. It means if you have put in 200K, and in a month you're making profit of 50K, equally you can do the math. You can see the future. You know what you need to add, the ingredients you need to add to go from 50K profit to 1 million profit, and so on and so forth. So it's the pattern. Stay in power. All right. Another thing is, on this issue of jack of all trades, today you are into food business like my sister Esther, and just because the thing is hitting you anyhow, you are collecting baptism of fire left, right, and center. You be like, I beg, I not do again. You jump out of that one, you go into hair, you'll be selling wigs and everything therein, and then one customer will just cause you one big headache, and then you're like, I not do again. And then you go into interior decor. So people just jump in. This is very common. We know this. There are some people that you know them for one business today. 6 months later, you check on them, they have done like 3 other businesses. You become confused. You don't know which one to patronize them for again. Let's not be that. Let's not be that. I have a friend in Lagos. Her name is Madam Funke Kende. She's huge in real estate, particularly real estate marketing. And back in 2017, 18, she started with us on the platform of our magazine, the Entrepreneur Africa magazine. She was just new then. She had just resigned from a company, started her venture in real estate. And so she would always place adverts on our magazine. Adverts will sell for maybe 1,500,000 then. We'll give it to her for like 100,000 because of a relationship. That's something else I'll come to now. And so she was so consistent. And now she's huge. Every developer in Lagos has to look for food. I'm telling you no jokes. If you build and you want to sell out, just look for Funke. You are selling land, look for Funke. She wins, luxurious cars all over the place every year because of. But why I'm telling her story is, over the years, she started talking to me about going into real estate because she used to attend most of our events in Lagos. And so when she comes, she sees like crowd of people busy. And she's like, Mr. David, you need to utilize this platform. You have people. Come into real estate business. Let's do it. So it was tempting, to be honest, because there is huge money in real estate. But I knew it wasn't for me. I can't do what Funke does. I can't do it. I don't have that passion for it. So money, a lot of times, is not enough. Some people say, don't go into business because of passion. No. My dear, you need a huge dosage of passion if you must succeed in building a great business as an entrepreneur. It's different from investment. You don't need passion to invest in businesses, right? But for entrepreneurship, building your own business, you need a huge dosage of that. But more importantly, you need to be sure that is where you are called. Entrepreneurship is a calling. I must understand that. So if we have found ourselves, if we are sure in this meeting today, this moment, that business you have been into, that you feel the conviction that is where I'm called. It doesn't matter how it's looking now. Stay on it, keep building, keep renovating. And when I talk about renovation, it's more like as an entrepreneur, you have to be restless. You have to constantly be tweaking things. There's always something to change. The fact that you worked, yesterday or the day before, it doesn't mean that it will. You must continue to, some will call it innovation, but continue to renovate. Now, the next point, the fourth one in building is, you must determine what type of brand you're building. Are you building a personal brand, business concept, or you're building a corporate brand, business concept? In this age of social media where everybody is a content, is now being pushed to become content creators, we find ourselves making that mistake. So, if you are hoping to build a conglomerate, a blue chip, a legacy business, then you must understand that personal brand is probably not the best approach to it. When I say personal brand, some hair vendors on the internet who are huge. Some of them are buying G-Wagons, right? They're doing so well. Some business coaches. There's this woman back in the days that was called, there's this lady called Niger Brand Chick, right? Yeah. That hosts all this. That's a personal brand. Now, she has done so well via such business concepts. But it doesn't mean that same applies to everyone. Also, now there's a limit to how big such personal brand can carry her. As big as Tony Elumelu's name is today, he didn't start as a personal brand. When Tony bought UBA or, acquired UBA, literally no one knew him. So it's only in recent years that Tony emerged as a personal brand. But he first built his corporate brand in a way that when his personal brand emerged, he had no choice but to respect that than to align with that. So you can't confuse these two things. So you want to build a corporate brand with your brand name, a company name, and you've not registered the company, I mean, more as I would advise as a limited liability company, you know, and you're using your personal page as your social media page, but you're building corporate brand, and they're still sending money to your personal accounts. You're building corporate brand. You're confusing it, and you're still coming out. You are the social media content creator. You are the handler. You are the everything. Now, that's personal brand. Now, if you are building a corporate brand, even if you can't afford it, even if you can't afford the services of a social media manager, the world must not know. If you are building a corporate brand, very important. For my brother that is into fashion, I think are you into fashion too? No? Mr. Emmanuel, that is into fashion. You're building a corporate brand, or whoever it is here that is building a corporate brand, that you can't yet afford social media manager and all the other, doesn't mean you'll be telling the whole world that you are the all in all. You are posting on your business page and it's always you talking. It's always no. It can be anonymous. You are writing, you are typing your post, right? When you're using I. You are responding to DMs and you're using the word I. You are personalizing, you're using the first person pronoun. You're already giving yourself an out. So it has to be we. Again, it even convinces you yourself first that we are building something big. We are big and all that. And so as time goes, and that's also what enables you, because it's corporate brand, you start laying the structure from the onset. And you see this lack of structure has caused a lot of problems for businesses, including some of us who share this challenge, the challenges we have today. So define it. However, if it's personal brand that you're building, again, you have to know, for you to even build a personal brand or a business that is based on personal brand, you must be sure that you have the assets, the personal brand image that can carry such a business. You have 500 followers on Instagram and maybe 3K followers on Facebook, and you tell yourself that, and people are shouting and you say, use your personal brand, and you think you belong there. My dear, you're not there. You're not one of the people that are talking to. So, however, if you have the assets, you have the personal brand image, that is enough to carry a business. Why not? I know someone that wanted to start a female fashion brand, and she was thinking of setting up an Instagram page with her brand name. I told her no. She asked for my opinion. I told her, don't do that. Don't do that. Because now the algorithms of Meta and all of that has changed drastically. I know what it takes now to build a business page. It's a lot. And before they begin to identify with you. But you have an already established personal social media, personality, with people who identify with you already. Thousands of them. I say, go with it. If you want, you can tweak your Instagram name or whatever, the Instagram handle, tweak it a bit to add your business name to it, and go with it. It will give you soft landing. And a lot of times for a startup or for a small business, you need that soft landing. You need all the soft landing you can get. So don't throw away the biggest asset you have because you want to look big and cool as a corporate entity. So we need to sometimes you can start with personal brand when you have what it takes, and then along the line you can switch. So so these are all part of the processes of building. Number 5 is, in building, liquidity is king. Absolutely. So financial wisdom is absolutely important. See, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, you can afford to be broke. But your business cannot afford to be broke. So if you must be broke, let it be you, Esther, or counsel, but not your business. I've been in situations where my personal account is reading maybe 30K. But I feel cool. I feel great. Why? Because I know the business accounts are doing good, are smiling. And so I don't feel broke at all because the businesses are doing well. If it bad too much for me personally, I tell them to wire me small money. So we can enjoy soft life small now. I'm just saying sometimes you got to relax. As entrepreneurs, you can't always be so hard on yourself. Sometimes it's sit down and enjoy small. So I'm just trying to balance this, that you're trying to be financially wise and all of that doesn't mean that you keep depriving yourself as an entrepreneur. Sometimes you need to give yourself a treat too. So make you balance this thing. Sometimes you need to gift yourself. Because the business pressure never is it can never get to a time when you have no business problems to deal with. So again, it's all part of building. So building and building yourself also includes taking care of yourself. Hello?
Hi.
I'm saying this here because I know there are some entrepreneurs here who probably have not bought anything new for themselves for the last 6 months. Because you are trying to make the business work. You don't know. Sometimes take a breather. Are we together?
Yes.
And so liquidity and financial wisdom means that you prioritize your business money. It means that solve the business problem first, the business financial, before you solve personal or family or whatever. We all know this, of course, I believe. But sometimes you find yourself in a situation where there's just no money. For someone like Omolola that runs a business that supplies products to supermarkets, you know that you probably work with credit. So you supply these products on credit to them, they sell and pay you within a month or within however. That can be a very challenging model. Because sometimes you are flat out without money. But you have millions out there across the stores. So what do you do? How do you keep the engines of the business turning? That is where you must seek for alternative means of fund. And for me, my first choice is always loan, debt funding. Of course, there is equity fund, there is debt funding, and other types of funding. But you see, you are safer first and foremost as a growing business with debt funding. As long as you are confident enough that you are onto something big, you have proven it to yourself that this is a profitable business, and you have figured out the various factors of that business, you get to a point where you have figured it out and you know just what you need to put in. Sometimes all you need to put in. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Austin. Please, can we clap for this man? This is the CEO of Accores Hotel. So we are in his place. And thank you for joining us. So when you got to that point where you know that all you need is money to put in, you already know the outcome, then you can boldly approach the financial institutions and take a loan. Sometimes the loan may not be straightforward because sometimes if you are waiting to apply to Zenith Bank or whatever, you go wait tire. So you must be creative in your thinking. Sometimes you have people in your network, your friends and all of that. You need 10 million naira. You don't have to look for 10 million from one person. Sometimes you get 2 million here, 1 million there. Promise them interest. Like I said, confidence matters. But if you can't afford that, and that's why you need to also be intentional about building your business account, because your credit score matters a lot when you want to take a loan, for instance. So if you want to take a loan, say from REM Money or some of these microfinance banks, that your credit score needs to tell a story that you are reliable and you can pay back. And so with the confidence that you are running a profitable business, you can approach those banks, get a loan, use it for the meantime to sustain your business, pay them back with interest, you take another one. See, unfortunately, the society we are in, again, that's why I talked about the loneliness our entrepreneurs face. The society we are in doesn't help us. It's not easy accessing funding. It's not. So you have to find, and I'm saying this because some of us are so scared of loans. There is this stigma around loan. But it all depends on the type of business. You don't take a loan to experiment. Don't try that thing. You end up somewhere you don't like. But like I said, if you have figured it out, you're sure. You have seen the part, you have seen the profit, you have sorted out the various factors. You know all that is needed is a drop of the right money. Then with all confidence, go for it. As time goes on, with that liquid support coming from along the line, other means of funding will keep opening up. So on a good day, hopefully, in one of the editions of TBM, we'll dig deeper into issues of funding and all that. Maybe it's even one of you that will teach us that day. And so finally, on building, leverage. Leverage. Leverage is what gives you extra advantage. All of the others are constant. Funding, finance, these are constants. Team, constant. A lot of them are constant. But there are things that whether you put it or you don't put it, your business could still be running. But applying or involving those elements will give you advantages that takes you to an exponential growth rather than incremental one. Incremental is mathematical, is 1 + 1. Exponential is a jump. And for me, those leverages, I put them in three words. One is technology. The second one is relationships. The third one is God. Use it, don't use it, your business could still be. But if you have it available, why not use it anyway? And so technology, of course, is deep. We can't go into all of that today, but no matter the level you are in business, you must understand that there is a technology that is available for you, that is good for you, that is almost free or almost free for you at this stage. And again, that's one of those elements you don't have to wait until you're so big before you begin to apply. Don't let it sound so, complicated to you or so premium. If you don't have the skills or don't have the knowledge, that is where your team comes in. But sometimes you can't yet afford the members of the team that understand it or that can use it. That's also where relationships come in. That's where partnerships come in. That's where you must be bold to know that there's someone out there who is willing to provide that service for you with little or nothing. As entrepreneurs, one of the elements you must always have is the can-do spirit. That confidence that you can ask and receive. And so, technology, relationship cannot be overemphasized. And that's one of the aims of this meeting. You must constantly take advantage of every opportunity to build a relationship. Not the type of relationship where you exchange numbers and nobody ever hears from you again. The one that you cultivate, you maintain, and then you reap from. Relationship is a gift that keeps giving. But to receive, you must first and foremost do what? Give. And so let's not skip that part, because we like to skip that part and go to the part of receiving. And then God. It doesn't matter, you are an African, doing business in Africa. My brother, you need God. Are we together?
Yes.
The Bible says that those that build, except the Lord builds the house, those that build do what? Build in vain. I will leave you with that word. Thank you so much.